Frank Sorek from South Wilkes-Barre. A few questions, and please forgive me, I sent myself an email so I wouldn't forget some of the notes that I wanted to discuss. Councilman George brought up some of the questions that I had as well, is with regard to the previous bond that we're refinancing that was almost 31 million, it was 30 million and change. According to the 2014 debt statement, we only show a $25 million bond. So first I would request that first council number 15 of 2014 be changed to not to exceed 25 million. Because if we're only refinancing for better terms, better rates, why would we need to authorize a blank check between 25 million and 31 million? That to me seems a little haphazardly with this administration. Same thing with the second bond. You said it was roughly had a balance of 3 million, but we're asking for 6 million on that one as well. I would request that the not to exceed amount be there as well. Also, I was looking over some of the previous debt statements, and I wonder, did we make the May payment? Was what 1.18 million was due then, and I saw no mention of that as to whether or not it was paid. Also, if we were to refinance this now, would we be paying the $1.8 million that's due for the November of 2014, or would that money from last year's budget just be funneled back into the proverbial slush fund? So those are my questions. I'm wondering if some of this refinancing is an attempt to juggle the pension debt that's never seems to be met here. So I'm wondering if that's why the need for these blank checks are actually being put out. Also, and I know as the mayor said, this is just a paperwork for the bond, we're not actually issuing them, but I would request also an approximate amortization table so we know the repayment schedule as well as an approximate interest rate, what we would expect it to be. I mean, even if we were looking at a sliding scale, you know, no less than this or no higher than this, something like that would even be, you know, some help. Because right now, again, we're just issuing blank checks to this administration, and I, as a citizen, have a big problem with that. Also, we did hear about the nearly $40 million refinancing plan a few days ago, but the actual ordinances to accompany weren't placed out for the public review until just today. I've been watching the city's website, and for that reason alone, I would ask that this motion be tabled and go no further until the public has a chance to digest what's being jammed down their throat once again. I also wonder, bear with me here. You have a debt budget amount of 2015 debt statement, but there's no proposed bonds for that one, and that's already in the current budget. Also, there is no May 2015 interest payments due on the principal interest in November 2015. There's only a $5,000 with an approximate. That's a principal payment with an approximate interest payment of $679,000. And also, based on the past debt statements with refinancing, again, we're avoiding paying nearly $2 million in payments from the May and November statements. So I'm just wondering what's happening to that nearly $2 million. Is that being channeled over to pay for the pensions? So, like I said, again, I'm just asking council to take some time with this and not rush into anything, and maybe look at capping them a little bit lower than 31 million, perhaps at 25 million, until we have some more information. But definitely we need to have some interest rates and amortization schedules before we go forward with this. Thank you.
Again, it's bond council right these in to listen to what our bond council, our financial advisors say. We have not missed that money. Here's what I'm going to start now. Our credit rating prove that when S&P reviews our financials. And again, it's not to exceed. We don't plan on borrowing any more money up to that level. And this is a very preliminary first step. And as Brett mentioned in the work session, this may not happen on February, March, or April. We'll definitely keep council advice. It's the first step to get the process started.
The problem that arises is when we do pass this in second reading, if when we do, and we're not going to have a whole lot of say come January January or December, January, as to whether we agree or disagree with moving forward at that particular point. Mr. Stork raises an interesting point as far as do not to exceed language in there, maybe can be adjusted to show the current principal or projected principal balance.
It's just an estimate, and again, you have the final say on what the principal amount is, so this means nothing. So if it comes in here in April or May or March, whenever the number comes, and it's a number that you're not comfortable with, you just vote no.
At what point do we have a say in that if we approve this in second reading?
Anywhere upwards before. We will, and we have conference calls once a week or more. Anybody, any council is more than welcome to sit in on. Not the most exciting call, but
Correct, so come
you'll have plenty of time.
hypothetically, come December or January, the interest rates are attractive. Our advisors tell us that we should move forward with restructuring of these bonds. However, we've already approved these particular ordinances that allow
First reading needs to,
second reading when?
when we get the numbers.
When we get the numbers, not next meeting, not until we're ready to proceed. Okay. And at that
Oh, it'll
particular,
be the next reading, but it won't be next meeting, you said.
next reading would be, the second reading would
Second
be,
reading. When's the next meeting?
well, I would like the second reading be prior to, at that point when we actually have interest rates determined and.
They have to go out to the market. That's why they need, this is permission to go out to the market to see, I mean, right now, nothing's being done.
Right, it's going to be very difficult for us.
The market's gonna go ba-boom soon.
Not specific figures, amortizations, interest rates, principal balances. Right. However, it was just mentioned that they need this approved to go out on the market.
Yeah, the reason they give those not to exceed amounts is just, and they set them high to give us maximum flexibility, but, I mean, realistically, they'll be much lower. They'll be, for example, the, what is it, series 2015B would be closer to 1.9 rather than what, the ordinance says 3.
3 million.
Yeah.
So why not cap that at 2 million versus 3? And if we only need
I mean, we
25,
had that conversation with our financial advisor. They set the amounts based on what they see in the market. And, yeah, there's expenses involved as well.
Could there be some language in there not to exceed the principal at that particular time?
Well, no, because you have expenses that are gonna be included in that
Okay,
as
that are
well.
rolled into it.
So, I mean, we could certainly have that conversation as to
Take it down.
maybe decreasing the not to exceed amounts, but I think that's just it's just to be, a number to be safe.
Ryan constantly asks if we were not able to.
No.
It's not gonna be anywhere near that
Mr.
number.
Brown?
Yeah, I think the message we're trying to present here is council understands that we want to go out and get a lower rate and save a substantial amount of interest.
Right.
Council isn't saying that they're willing to approve the amounts that you have in there as far as exceeds. We want to get the best rate for what we're indebted to right now. But as far as additional debts, that's something that is a concern here, is if we approve this, are we allowing you to go out and borrow more monies? Is
Well, there
what
will
we're
be
saying.
no new money in this transaction at all. It'll just be to cover these 3 that we have involved. There'll be no new money coming into the general
Right, see,
fund.
that's not the way that it's put on paper.
Right.
With the idea that it is new money. So I think the clarification that Mr. Barrett was asking for, that's what we're concerned, is the fact that we don't want to go out and borrow new monies if we can avoid doing that. Yet we do want to get a preferential rate on the current indebtedness that the city has.
Yeah, there is no new money. It's just, like I said, set at a certain amount to cover these transactions, and it just gives us more flexibility.
We
That's
get
it.
to
I mean, we can have the conversation
That's
as
our
far as
concern.
bringing down those not to exceed amounts. That's just it's just a matter of being comfortable with where we're at, so.
And again, these are written by the town council.
Right, I mean, we can,
There may be a
to why they set them so high, but
We'll have an
it
answer.
won't be that high.
Could you
I can
find that out,
guarantee you
though,
that.
why are you setting them so high?
Sure.
I mean, that's something I think you can make a
We'll
phone call.
answer for you tomorrow.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
We'd like that explanation, if you don't mind, why are they setting them so high?
Yeah, well, the explanation I was given is just to give maximum flexibility with interest rates and maturities, because nothing is set in stone now. He mentioned amortization schedules, which obviously we'll have estimates and a better look at once we actually do try to close. So, I will find out as why they set them the way they did, and we can go from there, maybe bring down those amounts, because like I said, they won't be that high.
This is a first reading, I think we're going to need to be a little bit clearer.
And we can put you in touch with the bond council and the financial guys.
We may need that type of input at the second reading.
It's a conference call too.
Okay. Or at the second reading itself. Anything else on this?